Hello, everybody. Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Doing a sound check. Can everybody hear me? Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Just let me know in the chat because I'm having some technical difficulties here, which is a bit frustrating. Can everybody hear me? You can? Okay. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, sorry about being a few minutes late here. I was on time, but for some reason, my camera is not connecting. I don't know if it's because of some stupid software update that I did for my, Mac OS, but for some reason, my camera won't let me select my camera. So that's frustrating. The last book club we had amazing full high definition live streams with awesome audio quality, and it looks like this week we're only going to have awesome audio quality. That's really frustrating. Anyway, how is everybody doing? Happy Saturday. Thank you all for being flexible with regards to the scheduling. I am very sorry that we had to do the first one on Saturday, but I am really looking forward to this Hangout. So where are we all joining from? It's been a while. It seems like forever since we had one of these. I think has it been a month? I guess it's been about a month, which is quite a while. So yeah, we got Colombia in the house. Hello, Mauricio. James, it is so good to see you. Victoria, parlando italiano con tanti errori. I do love the channel name. I see Linda is here. We have Jackie in the chat. Christian, hello. Hello, David, also from Colombia. Romania, Netherlands. Oh, it's so good to see all of you. So let's, we have Washington, D.C. Hello, Anne. Love it. Love seeing everybody join. We have Switzerland. Hello, Martin. Wow. We have Ayat from Iraq. Very nice to see you. We have a lot of people from Colombia today. This is really cool. Suzanne from California. Good to see you. And by the way, you can also let me know what you're all drinking. I actually have a very special tea today that was gifted to me. So this is a Weihnachtstee. So Weihnacht in German is Christmas. So this is a Christmas tea. It's a Rooibos, which many of you will know I love Rooibos teas. And this one has bits of apple in it, bits of orange, all kinds of really good stuff. It smells beautiful. So, oh yeah, we're going to do it. We have to do it. It's really annoying we don't have the nice, beautiful, high definition camera, but there we go. So, all right. This one, it smells really it's very strong, but I like it. It's very zesty. Let's see who else has joined. We have Jessica from Madrid. Bienvenidos. We have Tajikistan. Very cool. Isco. We have Suzanne's drinking Pete's Winter Chalet blend of coffee. Lovely. Hey, Polly Ronin. Good to see you from Edinburgh. Not drinking anything at the moment. Well, I think we have to fix that. Maybe you can take the live stream into the kitchen and brew something up. But we have Riri from Taiwan. Hey, it's great to see you. We have flowers and green tea. Everything. Okay, cool. All kinds of good stuff. Well, I think we have a good amount of people who have joined. So first of all, cheers to week one. I mean, I know that we still have a day left, but I mean, it's been a really good week one for me, but I really look forward to, of course, reading about everybody else's week. I keep looking up at the camera. So annoying. Anyway, I promise now I will stop complaining about that. Anyway, okay. So let's start hearing from all of you in the chat. I'm going to tell you about my week one. I'm going to grab my tracking sheet as well. Wait, I just realized I said cheers and didn't actually drink. So So cheers to everybody's first week of the book club. That's what we need, just to slow down just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to grab my tracking sheet, which I forgot. Okay, so I'm really excited to show you all the state of my tracking sheet. So as you can see, in terms of my studies and my reading, and even my writing, I so far have completed every day. Now, if you look at my other habits, you will notice I'm not doing very well with sleep. So I'll try to get to bed on time tonight. I've been working a lot on a lot of cool journaling stuff, which I'll tell you about in a second. Yoga, I'm doing okay, but I'm going to struggle to do my 4 days this week. And meditation has been not very good, but I've been doing very, very well with my software engineering related studies. So that is my week 1. And I have to say, I'm really happy because I think this has been my best ever week 1 in terms of participation, but also running the book club. So I did all the things I promised. We did the kickoff video, we did the kickoff email, the kickoff journaling post, we did Instagram kickoff stuff. I wrote my journaling post this week, and we're doing a live stream. So like, I'm just really happy. This is the first week, the first book club round where I've just like boom, 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 everything. So hopefully this will continue throughout round 4. And really quickly, before I go into details of my week 1, just a little sneak peek tip for everybody. After this live stream, me and Ryan are going to be having our final work session for in-app notifications on Journaly. So literally by the end of tonight, if you go to Journaly, you should see one of the biggest, most exciting updates we have done in a long time. So there's a hot tip for everybody. If not today, if you check Journaly in the morning, you should see our beautiful notification system. Oh, it's so good. I'm so excited. We've been working on this for like 3 months straight. So there's a hot tip. Okay, so first of all, we're going to just double check the chat. It looks like we have some nice activity going on. Oh, hey, Larry Go. Thank you for stopping in and saying hi. Have a good day as well. Alemán Explicado is here. You know, it's really good to see all of the old regulars from the last book club, because I find that people that come to the live streams and are really active in the live streams are not necessarily like the same people who like leave comments on YouTube. So it's really cool because I get to see who's really out there. So good to see all of you regulars from last time. Okay, so my first week, I actually finished my first book. So I'm really excited because my goal was to read 1 graded reader every single week of the book club. We're obviously on day 6, and I finished. So that was really, really encouraging. I'm really happy about that. I did read this book before, but I read it over a year ago. And at that time, it was quite challenging. It was definitely a good level for me. But I remember there were unknown words. I remember that I had to stop very often, and it took me a while to digest what I had read. This time, the interesting thing is, I think I knew almost every single word. I might have even known every single word in the whole book, which was really, encouraging. But in the beginning, the interesting thing is that I was having, I still had to pause, right? Because I could read quite quickly because I knew all the words, but then I would get myself a bit overloaded. And that was kind of what I expected. But I will say by the end of the book, I didn't really have to do that anymore. Like, I don't know, but even just one single book in one single week, I feel like I made a lot of progress just being able to maintain a fluid and pretty fast reading speed. So that was really, really cool. And I'm really looking forward to, starting the next book. So that's kind of my week one. If anybody has any questions about my week, feel free to ask in the chat. Usually in these live streams, I'm going to be reading a lot of your experiences, and we'll talk about that. But you can also feel free to ask me any questions about my week or anything else regarding things you have questions about with the book club, with reading. Feel free to ask away. But let's start reading all of your experiences from the chat after a quick sip of tea. Really lovely. Okay, so first of all, we have a question. Why am I shaking? I think it's because it's like these live streams are very, very elaborate. Some of you have seen the setup I have. I have a light, a second light. I have my camera, a stand, many, many, many cables. I have several audio devices. I have HDMI things. It's a very, very elaborate setup, and it takes a long time to set everything up. And I was all ready to go, and then the camera wasn't, for some reason, it's not working. So I think I got quite nervous and a little bit, not sure the word, a little anxious. So I think that's why, if it sounds like my voice is shaking, I think it's because I went from being so prepared, all ready to go, to suddenly frantically running around trying to get this to work. So just need to breathe. Okay. So we have Snowlight says, hello, finally I got to join your live stream. I always missed it. Welcome. I'm glad to see you're here. Parlando Italiano con tanti errori says, I'm reading a crime novel in Italian. I managed to read 60 pages this week. Very cool. Pretty impressive for me. Also, my name is Rebecca. Okay. I didn't consider the mouthful. That's funny. Yeah. Okay. I'll try to remember that, Rebecca. Let's see. Gabriela, first time here. Good to see you. So Ayat says, I started a graded reader and I am enjoying it. I'm committed to my 45-minute workout session. It's been a year now. Very cool. Started to go back to Russian language, which I dropped 6 years ago. Very, very cool. Good for you. I'm glad to hear that. Nice that you're bundling in your workouts as well. Like I'm doing my 4 healthy habits as well. So that's really cool. Gabriela Santana asks if we can explain more about the book club. I do have a whole video that I made announcing round 4 where I explain the whole thing in a lot of detail. So if you want a longer explanation of the book club, you can feel free to watch that. But basically, it's a place where we all just come together for a set period of time, in this case, 3 weeks, and we all encourage each other to read in our target languages. We have these live streams. I encourage everybody to post on social media. A lot of us write posts on Journaly, and it's basically a book club where we come together and discuss. And sometimes we all try to read the same book, if possible, in different languages, which is really fun. But other times, like this one, we are doing an extensive reading version. So we're all probably reading all kinds of different content at very different reading levels in lots of different languages. So in this case, most people are reading something different. And the book club aspect is just doing it together, supporting each other. I provide a framework, like I emailed this tracking sheet for everybody to download. By the way, is anybody here using my tracking sheet? Of course, no pressure, but I'm curious to know if anybody actually did print it out and is using it. Okay, so Zeramonde says, I changed plans and I'm focusing on a Welsh graded reader. Very cool. And I also try to talk more in Welsh and I feel like I really have some momentum. Super happy. That's really cool. Congratulations. Really happy to hear that. what is the Welsh graded reader that you are reading? I wonder if anybody else is learning Welsh in the chat. Alemán Explicado says, I read transcripts of Japanese videos and podcasts using Link instead of graded readers because I want to read without furigana and still be able to find out how you pronounce new words. Nice. それを楽しみます. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I will say, with the books I'm reading in Chinese from Mandarin Companion, that's actually one of the nice things because I don't know how well you'll see this on the camera, but there's not really any what we would normally in Japanese refer to as furigana. You'll notice that there's just a couple of key words at the bottom, and they have numbers on the words. So basically, it's very easy to reference, the sort of glossary, but you don't get that interference. Because I'm the same way as you, Alemán Explicado. Like when I was reading in Japanese, I hated furigana. It's just so hard to ignore it if it's there. So that's very cool. Let's see. Hey, Rasmus is here. Great to see you, Rasmus. I'm doing really well, thank you. Really well. How are you doing? Okay, let's see. So HMT says, oh, cool. I'm halfway through my first Swedish graded reader and have 6 more standing by. Wow, that is quite a list. Having trouble not looking up words, even though I'm pretty sure I know the meaning for context. Yeah, I have the same problem. Honestly, this is the first time I've read anything and just not looked up a single word, but that's because I knew all the words in here. So it's kind of an interesting, it's an interesting use case for like doing extensive reading at a very high level of comprehension, like 97, 98. I don't usually do that. Usually I never have 98%, comprehension. But but normally I'm the same as you. So yeah, keep going. Good luck. And really cool, you have 6 graded readers standing by after this. Let's see. Snowlight says, I'm currently studying like a starter lesson of French stories, like children's stories. I'm just a beginner level. Hey, well, good for you. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, if you're already starting to read stories at the beginner level and trying your best, and that's awesome. Suzanne says, I read my first book in Portuguese this week. Very cool. 7 dias em busca de brasilidade. There are a lot of words I didn't know, just started a month ago, but I got the gist of what's going on. Very, very cool. Hey, Richard. Richard is asking about my 4 healthy habits. So on my tracking sheet, which by the way, I posted a picture of this on Journaly in my Journaly launch post or kickoff post. So if you go to Journaly and if you search for the topic tag Multilingual Book Club 04, then you can also find that post. So my 4 healthy habits, one of them is sleeping 7 hours per day. That's every day. I'm trying to do meditation every day, although usually I'm really good with my meditation habit, but I have really just been struggling with that one this time. I think I really got out of the habit. I'm trying to do yoga 4 times per week. And then I'm also doing a lot of studying around a variety of subjects related to my software engineering activities. So those are my 4 healthy habits that I'm tracking. Let's see. Oh no. Suzanne says, I need to reprint it because I spilled coffee all over mine. Oh no. That's the kind of thing I would do as well. Hey, Meru is here. Good to see you, Meru. Bienvenidos. Let's see. The Miss Fizzle says, your tracker is beautiful, but I'm not using it because I bullet journal too many habits already. I understand. Well, I'm glad that you think it's beautiful. Okay, so Isco says, wie kann ich besser Deutsch lernen? Helfe mich bitte. Well, by the way, Journaly is an amazing place to learn German. I mean, if you're writing practice, we have like the most amazing German speaking community, both native speakers and people who have learned German and give the most amazing feedback. So, certainly for writing, if you're using Journaly, it's a really good place to be for that. Yay, Victoria says, I love the tracking sheet, but mine is very sparse. That's okay. Okay, so Lena says, hello, it's so nice to see you. Good to see you too. You've encouraged me to finally start learning Korean and Japanese. I'm eager to read Korean comic books. Very, very cool. I'm glad to hear that. James, okay, let's hear from James. I'm using a tracking sheet. That's awesome. Love it as a quick visual accounting of what I'm doing. I've read a chapter per day from part 1 of a Brazilian Portuguese classic by Machado de Assis. Okay, very cool. Very cool. How are you finding it in terms of difficulty? Are you spending a lot of time to get through one chapter, or is it a fairly good level for you? Oh, cool. Vimus Fizzle is reading one of Mandarin Companion's breakthrough level books. I believe that one is My Teacher is a Martian. That's right for the translation? She says, I didn't finish the whole book like you did because I am recording myself reading it out loud and asking native speakers to correct my pronunciation and then going back to read it again and again. Very cool. Yeah, by the way, one day in the not too distant future, you will actually be able to create audio posts on Journaly and get very cool feedback comments on your audio, which will be really cool for stuff like that. But that'll be a little while yet, but it's coming. Rasmus says, not doing well, to be honest, but thanks for asking. I'm sorry to hear that, Rasmus. I hope you feel better soon. He says, I want to learn Icelandic, but my level is so low that even reading basic stuff is really hard. Words don't stick that easily. Maybe I'm too old for this. No, don't worry. I think that this is totally normal, especially when you're learning a language where where everything is just so different, right? And so I've had the same thing with Mandarin Chinese. I had the same thing with Japanese back in the day. I think anytime you're learning a language where it's either not closely related to languages you already know, or even if it is technically closely related, if the language just feels very different, in my opinion, there's always, an initial phase where it just seems like words do not stick. You have to like see a word so many times. But I think it's just a case of, building that foundation. At a certain point, once you have sort of finally started to get a bit of a foundation, I feel like there are many more dots to connect. There are more words that you can associate new words with, right? So for me right now in Mandarin, every single new word I learn, normally I always know at least one of the Chinese characters. I might even know both of them, but I've never seen them in that specific combination, or it sounds like something I know. Like the point is, it's a lot easier for me to learn new vocabulary now in Mandarin because I have that really good foundation now. So every new word can sort of stick to something else. I can make an association. Whereas in the beginning with Mandarin, it took me forever to learn new words because there was nothing for them to stick to. It was like starting from scratch. So please don't feel too discouraged, Rasmus. You're not too old for this. I think it's just that, you've chosen a language that is pretty challenging, but I mean, also, what an amazing language, Icelandic. So I think you're going to be fine. Just keep going. Keep going. Okay, let's see. Meru says, I've got my tracking sheet printed out and I'm working my way through the Spanish graded readers from Colección Leer en Español. Very, very cool. How is your reading going? Because I know that you just recently got back to Spanish. So I'm very curious to know that. Let's see if I can keep going here. Oh, Aggie. Okay, let's see. Aggie says, I finished my third mystery detective novel this week and started number 4 last night. This is bedtime extensive reading, definitely above my level, and it's great to recognize words from earlier novels. Absolutely, that is a really, really good feeling. Let's see. I got to try to read Richard's comment here in simplified. 哇，听起来对身 is that 身体？真好，哈哈哈. Yeah, sounds like it's really good for my health. Absolutely. I don't know, I always like to bundle in a variety of healthy habits with these book clubs because, as I mentioned in the announcement video, it's just such a great time because we're all really focused on these sort of healthy language learning habits. And so it's a great time to sort of use that same focus, and same community environment to also hold ourselves accountable for other things that we want to work on. Let's see. So Alice says, 最近めっちゃ見ます。いつもありがとうございます。どういたしまして。Let's see. Oh, Aggie says, I'm still using your original monthly tracking sheet. Very, very cool. Glad to hear that. So Giovanni says, I'm trying to learn some Russian, but I feel overwhelmed, honestly. So I was thinking of reading an A-level Russian book if I found one. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm sure you can find some. There must be plenty for Russian, so that sounds like probably a good idea. Hortense says, what is this tracking sheet everyone is talking about? It's this. This is a tracking sheet that I designed. If you go on my channel history, you'll find the kickoff video. So Multilingual Book Club kickoff video, where I go through it in detail. And you also asked, how do you join Journaly? You can go to journaly.com, and that's where you will join it. I recommend it. Okay, let's see. Erin says, how does Journaly work? Am I supposed to type in my goal language? Definitely a much huger challenge to write sentences in Mandarin. Yes, that is the point. So basically, Journaly is a place where you could write in your native language. Some people do that. But primarily, it is for writing in your target language. And, part of the reason why it's such a great activity is that, yes, it is challenging to write sometimes in your target language, but it's a wonderful activity because you actually have time. You have time to think deeply through what you're writing. So if you're a beginner or an intermediate learner, it's great because it gives you the opportunity to actually output language in a way that you might not be able to yet if you're talking to somebody. If you're an intermediate or advanced learner, it's even better because you actually get the time to take it slow and craft beautiful language very intentionally. When you're talking to somebody one-on-one, very often there's just no time. There's no time to sit there and think, very carefully. And so what often happens is when we speak to somebody one-on-one, over time, sometimes you plateau. Sometimes you find that you kind of just keep making the same mistakes. You use the same grammatical patterns. Very often we develop favorite words, right? And so we tend to use the same words over and over again. When you're writing, it's the perfect opportunity to actually step back for a second and say, how could I improve this construction? How could I find a different word that would be better, or just a synonym, or, how could I add more variety to my language? It's a really great way to do that, but it's also the best way to get feedback, right? When you're speaking, very hard to get very, very detailed feedback. With writing, And on Journaly, we provide a lot of special tools to help you highlight things and open a comment thread. It's much easier to give very specific feedback on every aspect of your language. So that's how it works. Hope that's helpful. And Erin also says, I got through 3 chapters of my first Mandarin Companion book. I'm hoping to finish it up and also get through the next level, The Prince and the Pauper, before the end. Very cool. I'm actually going to be reading that book in my final week of the book club. Okay, let's hear from everybody else. Hope you're all having a nice time, by the way. I'm going to have another sip of tea. Okay, let's see what everybody else has going on. Okay, so Learn English with Josh says, pour cette série du club de lecture Multilingual, je lis un roman de Marc Lévy qui s'appelle L'horizon de l'envers. Ah, very cool. Jusqu'à présent, c'est plutôt intéressant. L'as-tu lu? So the translation of that is, for this series or round of the book club, I am reading a book from Marc Lévy called L'horizon de l'envers. So far, it's really interesting, or it's pretty interesting. Have you read it? No, I actually have not read that one. I have a lot of Marc Lévy books, but I have not read that particular novel. So I'd love to hear what you think of it at the end. Maybe you could write a post on Journaly all about it. I would love to read it. Let's see. HMT, giving some advice about Russian graded readers. Very, very cool. And then let's see. Oh, from James. So this book, James was reading a book in Brazilian Portuguese, as we talked about earlier. This book is actually a good level, much to my surprise. I rarely read extensively, so this aspect is an ongoing challenge. Yeah, me too. I think we're very similar in that regard. I really want to look up the occasional word, but I'm resisting the urge. Very, very cool. Polly Ronin says, I have the same with Mandarin too, partial recognition of new words, since you know some of the characters words consist of. Excuse me. Yeah, I always say that when it comes to languages like Mandarin Chinese and Japanese, any language that has Chinese characters, I always say that like the real magic of learning vocabulary, it gets a lot easier later. Like that's why I always say it's better to cover a lot of characters fairly early, because what happens is like, yeah, in the beginning, every new word, every new character feels like it's some random, isolated set of things. But once you've seen lots of characters, once you've seen a lot of words, even if you haven't mastered those words yet, the point is once you've seen a lot of them, everything starts to feel more familiar. And every single time you see a character in a new word, it's like reinforcing it, because you're like, oh, I've seen this character in that word and in this word, and in this word it sounded like this. Like, it's wonderful. It feels like a jigsaw puzzle where in the beginning, every new word is like a random piece. And then once you reach a certain, tipping point, every new word feels like you're connecting multiple jigsaw pieces, and the picture starts to become more and more clear quite quickly. Let's see. Linda says, hi, Linda. The cool thing about Journaly is that you decide how long your text is going to be. You can also tell people about how your language is going in your native language, how your language learning is going in your native language. Yeah, exactly. Nave says, I've been reading a book on the history of Sweden in Swedish. It's been super fascinating so far. That is really, really cool. I'm really glad to hear that. Let's see. We have some conversation going on about Journaly, and let me see. What else have I missed? By the way, I want to tell everybody I have been really loving your Instagram posts, your Journaly posts, your Instagram stories. It's been really cool to see all the activity. And I can't wait to announce the winners of the first week's giveaways. In case you're not familiar, 3 people can win any Mandarin Companion graded reader you would like as an ebook, which is really cool. 1 person every week will win a 6-month subscription to Scritter, including people who are already users. And then people can also win a free month of Journally Premium. So yeah, really cool. Love seeing all of your posts and activity. Let's see. Sam says, I learned my first word in Japanese. Very, very cool. Your name, Sam. Rasmus says, regarding Icelandic, it's weird that Icelandic vocab is hard, considering Icelandic is basically Old Danish. I studied Danish at uni, only thesis left, but even my Danish isn't good, which makes me feel like a fraud. Honestly, please don't feel that way, Rasmus. It's like, I have the same thing. Like, I remember when I was learning Dutch, right? Now, in theory, Dutch is one of the closest languages to English, right? Like it's very, very heavily related to English. Everybody always says that. I found Dutch actually to be quite challenging. Like I actually had a lot of. Sorry, Siri is interfering with the live stream. Sorry, I always knew that would happen. Let me try to put this on focus mode. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I found that Dutch vocabulary was like it didn't stick in my head for a long time. And same thing with German. So that's why I say even sometimes when a language is technically related to one, sometimes there's just something about a language where it feels different. I don't know. That's been my experience. So I don't think you should feel like a fraud. Just keep going. Let's see. Ramon. I'm not sure if you're talking to me or somebody else, but he says you are a Japanese and Mandarin hero speaker student. That's great. Well, if you're talking to me, thank you. That's very kind of you. But I would feel like an idiot if you were talking to somebody else. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. But thank you. Whoever you're giving that compliment to, that is very kind. Let's see. Erin is asking, that's very helpful. Are we supposed to write about the book or we just write about anything? Yeah, so in general, you can write about anything you want. For the purpose of the book club, I'm encouraging people to either write about just your experience. So for example, I actually just wrote my first Journally post of this round today, and I chose to just focus on my experience. So I just wrote about how my first week went, how the book was, but I didn't necessarily discuss the content of the book. But you could do that. I would suggest if you're going to have spoilers, just kind of make that clear in case somebody else is, reading the same book. But you could totally write a post discussing, the philosophical message behind the book, or you could share unpopular opinions. Maybe there's some characters you don't like or characters you love. You can write about anything you want. Yeah. Let's see. Linda says, I'm reading Quality Land from Marc-Uwe Kling in Italian. Very, very cool. That is one of Linda's favorite works of literature, I think, in recent times. Meru says, reading in Spanish is working great for me. The graded readers are not overwhelming. And I'm going to finish the first one tomorrow. Very, very cool. I will try to post on Journally. Well, Meru, if everything goes well tonight, hopefully, after you post on Journally tomorrow, you will have a beautiful in-app notification system that will just let you know whenever there's a new comment. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. I'm sorry I'm talking about it so much, but I can't explain to you how much work it has been. It's insane. It's like full-time hours for 3 months or more. On top of everything, it's just been crazy. Oh, many late nights. Tonight might also be a late night, but if that's what we have to do to finish it, that's what we'll do. Diego says, hola, Robin. Saludos desde Colombia. Tierra cafetera. Absolutely. Hello, Diego. Oh, you know what? Actually, I just spent like 2 weeks drinking lots of Colombian coffee. I had a couple bags of 2 different farms from Colombia that I was trying out, and they were both really, really good. Okay, let's see. Who else? How's it all going for everybody? Bella says, the graded reader has been helpful in trying to acquire harder syntax. I've been reading the book by Ollie Richards, and it's surprisingly interesting. Very, very cool. I'm glad to hear that. By the way, I want to take a moment now to mention our 2 co-sponsors of the book club. I would really appreciate your time for just a couple minutes here. So I think most of you know this by now, but I want to just give a huge thank you and shout out to both Mandarin Companion and, let me see if I can open the app. Come on. Well, this is Skritter. New. Hang on. I want like the logo screen. Skritter. So yeah, in case you don't know, this round of the book club is sponsored by Mandarin Companion and Skritter. Skritter is a fantastic app. I actually have a full in-depth review on my channel of the app. It's honestly like, for me, one of my favorite language learning apps. It's good if you're learning Japanese or Chinese. And basically, it can help you learn Chinese characters, vocabulary. They have example sentences for like thousands and thousands and thousands of words. And in this case, it's great because Skritter, I'll actually show it to you. They have, as you can see here, I think, they have pre-made decks for every single Mandarin Companion book. So it's really convenient. Usually, I prefer to make my own decks in general. But when it comes to something like this, where it's extensive reading, there's only 3 weeks, I'm trying to read 3 different books, it is really helpful to just have it pre-made in there. So yeah, Mandarin Companion is a graded reader company for books in Mandarin Chinese, where you can get them both simplified and traditional. They have 3 levels: Breakthrough, Level 1, and Level 2. And yeah, so thank you to both of those co-sponsors. I'm loving it. They're both great companies. They've been great to work with, and I can't wait in the future to get more and more sponsors so we can get, you know, books and all kinds of cool giveaways in different languages. But I have to say, Skritter, Mandarin Companion, really being excellent, very first co-sponsors of the book club. So thank you both. And there we go. Back to the live stream. Let's see. I'm gonna have some more tea here. Okay. So Snowlight says, I want to ask, I'm only just learning French. I noticed that Spanish and French have similarities. I speak Tagalog, which is similar to Spanish. Do you think it's advisable to learn them at the same time? So are you saying like you're a beginner in French and you're considering also learning Spanish as a beginner at the same time? If that is the case, in my opinion, it's possible. Some people will tell you do not do that. Some people have very, very strong opinions. In my opinion, you can do it, but you need to be very, very patient, and you need to be okay with the fact that you might confuse things a little bit in the beginning. I did this with Portuguese, Spanish, and Italian, basically. People said I was crazy. It was fine. But I had to understand that in the beginning, yes, I get a little bit confused sometimes. There are ways you can make it really interesting. So it's almost like every single thing you learn, you can kind of compare it. Like, oh, cool. So in Spanish, they do it this way. In French, it's this way. It's different in this case. Like, you can really treat it as like a very in-depth analysis, just sort of comparing them. But the way that I had said, I just told myself, look, at the end of the day, I will get confused a little bit in the beginning. However, the better I get in each language, the less I will confuse them. And that has been true. Like, once my Italian got past a certain point, once my Spanish got past a certain point, for the most part, there's no real confusion. Unless I've been speaking Spanish a lot recently and I try to speak Italian, I might confuse a couple of really small words. I might say pero, which in Italian, for example, you can say pero. But in Spanish, if I say ma, that's not really correct. But to be honest, I don't really confuse them that much in general. So that's just some advice, is that don't get frustrated if you do try that. And if you start confusing some a little bit, just do your best to find ways to compartmentalize them, but also understand that, the better you get in each language, the less you will confuse them. And yeah. But I should give the disclaimer, that's my personal opinion. A lot of people will tell you to not do that. So, feel free to seek out other people's explanations as well, and then you can decide what you think makes the most sense for you. So Bella says, any suggestions in understanding harder grammar that isn't present in your native language? I've been struggling with the use of se in Spanish. For me personally, when it comes to stuff like that, I like doing a lot of pattern drills. Like, that's just by preference, just as a way to sort of internalize those patterns and things that are just not intuitive to you. So I like, just having a basic pattern, a very small selection of vocabulary, and just practicing switching out the different words. I've done this for things like noun cases in German and Russian. I've done it for all kinds of stuff in Japanese, like getting used to Japanese syntax, which was a challenge. So that is a very, very basic tip that might be helpful for you. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so Learn English with Josh says, before starting this round of the book club, I read your book. That's my book. It is honestly one of the best language learning books. Not a lot of people talk about maintaining languages. I really appreciate it. That is really kind of you. Thank you very much, Josh. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a while now. I can't wait to write my second book. Honestly, like I actually finished a rough draft of a second book like 2 years ago now. Is that right? Yeah, but at this point, I have made so much content. I've had so many new ideas, new things I've thought of, new findings, that I think I need to just like start again. But definitely at some point, probably in the next year, I may start working on my second book again, and I really can't wait. I think it's going to be a lot better than the first one, probably a lot longer. The first one was a little bit short, but yeah, I had really good feedback. I have to say, like I've had really good feedback from people on it over the years. So thank you very much, everybody who has purchased my book. And if you're interested, you can go to my website, robinmcpherson.co/shop, and you can find it there. Let's see. Erin says, I may be a total nut and try and finish the Portuguese creative reader I've been dabbling in as well. I want to try an actual Portuguese novel in the new year. Very, very, very cool. Let's see. Well, that's the end of the chat. That's it. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? Anything they want to ask? I'm an open. I was going to say I'm an open book, but that's not the correct expression for this situation. So let's scratch that. But I'm open to questions or anything you want to talk about. This is all about you. Abdul says, how did you learn German? Can you tell in a nutshell? In my case with German, to be honest, the first thing I did was I just used Babbel, because I just at the time I needed to learn it very, very quickly. So I decided to focus primarily on one single resource that I knew would get me pretty far. So I did that, went through it a couple of times, did a lot of sentence pattern drilling with German in particular. One thing I found really helpful was, memorizing certain words that always go with certain noun cases. Like, for example, mit dir. Mit always goes with dir, and then you can use that to extrapolate it across other words. And, And then I started using some interviews. I found a couple of short interviews in German, and I started like transcribing them and listening over and over again while walking around. I did a bit of Pimsleur in German. Like I just used a bunch of resources. In the beginning, I was very focused. And then what I often do is I like to learn the basics over and over again from lots of different resources. So I had a whole period of time where I was just going over the beginner stuff over and over and over again. And yeah, eventually I got there. And then I did some graded readers. I used the graded readers from, I think it's Andre Klein. I hope I'm not getting his name wrong. I think that's correct. Yeah, the Easy German YouTube channel was instrumental for me. The Easy German podcast was also fantastic. Shout out to Easy German. I love you all. So yeah. Octavia says, I have been learning Japanese for about 10 years, off and on, and my skills are on different levels. Speaking is my lowest. I get frustrated easily since it seems like I'm not making any progress. Any tips? Well, honestly, one thing I honestly recommend is you might want to practice writing, but writing in an informal way. So basically, writing how you would speak, specifically for, again, like practicing like practicing the production of language, but in a slightly more controlled environment where you have more time to think about it. And the more you write, you'll find the more automatic it becomes. And it really does, genuinely, if you do it a lot, it does have an impact on your speaking skills, So that's one thing you can do. And, I would say there's so many things. You could do my podcast interview method, which is a really fun one. That's a really good way to get better at speaking. But one tip I have is using stuff like these activity tracking sheets. If you go on my channel, I have a video from like 2019, I think, where I talk about how to create a more generic activity tracking sheet. That's really helpful for giving yourself something tangible to look at for progress, right? Because sometimes you feel like you haven't made any progress. Having a tracking sheet that tracks all the things you've done, it's a really good way of having a visual way to see all the progress you've made, at least in terms of activities that you have done. Those are a few tips. I could talk for hours about that, but I hope that those couple of things are useful bits of advice. Josh says, that is so exciting to hear that you might publish another book in the future. I would definitely buy it. Also, students in Slovakia and Japan loved your first book too. Oh, my students in Slovakia and Japan. Oh, very cool. Oh, very cool. Thank you for recommending it to your students. Where in Canada are you from, Josh? Aaron says, I'll just say thanks for doing this. I love to read in other languages, and it's great to find a community where I don't seem like a weirdo. Totally not a weirdo. Not here. But I understand what you mean. I feel like a weirdo when I go outside. Let's see. Lena says, you've mentioned that starting two languages as a beginner is not the best idea. How do you think linguistic education as a background is a cheat to learn more than one at once? I'm not really sure, honestly, if it helps you that much specifically with learning more than one. I don't know if it gives you a special advantage in terms of learning more than one together. Yeah, I think it really depends on stuff. I mean, it might certainly help you have a more, theoretical background. Maybe you're more prepared with certain concepts and more prepared to tackle, like all sorts of stuff. But I honestly, in terms of the practical application of acquiring foreign languages, especially more than one together, I don't really know that it gives you a special advantage. That's just been my personal thought and experience, but I'd be happy to take other people's opinions on that. But to be clear, I'm not saying that learning two languages as a beginner is a bad idea or is, it really depends on how much time you have. I think if you have a lot of time, if you're going to dedicate, 5 or 6 hours a day to language learning, then you have so much time. It's a lot easier to do so. If you only have 1 hour per day or less, then that changes things, right? Then it becomes a very different challenge to do so. Let's see. Michael asks, do you still play basketball? I haven't played basketball for quite a long time now. Although, so for those of you who don't know, earlier in my life, I was really into basketball. I ended up moving to the United States to play basketball for high school there. So I didn't play for a long time. I played a lot during university, but mostly just like, playing pickup basketball. Didn't play for several years, but in San Francisco, where I used to work, a lot of offices have, lots of fun stuff, including very often kind of like a basketball hoop, like a mini one. The balls are like that big. But I will tell you, I really kicked some ass in my office. Because everyone's like pretty good. They practice a bit, but I remember it was really fun. I played against so many people in my office. Just, sometimes you need to like stretch your legs, have a little walk around for a few minutes, and then just like, first to 10. That was a lot of fun. But I would like to play again one day. Yeah, that'd be fun. Let's see. I guess we're getting very close to the end of our live stream here. Aleman Explicado says, I have to leave now. Thank you. The book club is really a great inspiration and motivation. Thank you very much. Abdul asks, how do you maintain languages? Well, that is actually basically the title of my book, How to Maintain Languages. Josh is asking, is another short film in the works? Yes. So I actually have several. Right now, I'm in this sort of very heavy, I'm going to call it a research phase. I'm not conducting novel research of my own, but I'm reading a lot of books and compiling a lot of information from other people's research. And it's interesting. I have like so many great ideas for these new short films, but it's also like I'm finding it's quite challenging because I tend to consume an enormous amount of information, and then I synthesize it and condense it into a 10-minute video and try to pull out the key points for language learners. So it's a really interesting intellectual process to go through. Like it's really fun, but I guess the more complex they are and the more science that I try to pull into them and all kinds of stuff, the harder it becomes to actually finish. So I think right now I'm mostly doing research, but I can promise you in the next year, in 2022, I hope to create a lot more short documentary films. I can't wait. So we are getting to pretty much 1 hour. So I want to say thank you to everybody. I hope that I was able to read most of your experiences to the group. It sounds like everybody's doing great. So keep up the good work. Please feel free to post on your Instagram or Journaly if you want to. Otherwise, I'll see you back here on Sunday next week. So the last 2 weeks will be on Sunday as normal, same time, 4 p.m. And yeah, I just hope you all have a really good rest of the weekend. And let's have a great week too, starting on Monday. So sending everybody big hugs as always. Oh. And I'm going to really try to make sure next time we have the beautiful video quality back, because this wasn't as good as normal. But anyway, I set up a really beautiful shot. I have my new plant here, my other plant. It was all really nice. Anyway, next time. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye. Have a good Saturday night. Here's our signature dancing. Bye. Tschüss. またね。下次见。拜。